Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Get Out of Rap. Today's episode is brought to you by my partners, Alvaria, Better Outsourcing, and the Forum. Without those guys, I wouldn't be able to do stuff like this. So, thank you very much. Now, on with the show. A bit of a role model of mine. He's practically superhuman. I call him the bearded Wonder Man. Um, a lovely, lovely human being, great experience and skills. Very pleased to welcome James Revell onto Get It Out Rap. So, Bearded Wonder Man, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you too. That's a hell of an introduction. I can't fail to disappoint after such an introduction.
It comes from the heart. Every time I see you at some sort of work event, you always put a smile on my face before I've even seen you. Always very debonair.
I have that impact.
Always very debonair, of course. Very great, sartorially elegant, I would say.
Well, I'm going for the Marcel Marceau today. I'm just going to put my white gloves on in a minute, and I'll be trying to get out of this box.
For those of you just listening rather than watching, James is currently wrestling with a balloon.
That's right, against the wind.
So, how have you been?
Yes, not too bad, thank you. Not working at the moment, which actually it's quite nice. So it's given me the opportunity to do a lot of things that I really want to, but also trying to find something. It's the summer period as well, so it's a little bit dry at the moment in many respects. But yeah, hopefully looking at starting something by the end of the year.
And for those of you out there, if you want a leader guaranteed to bring you success, performance, great team spirit, then there's no one better than James. And
Yeah.
the last time I saw you, you were on stage with your good mate Jake Humphreys,
We are so close.
as head judge
Mm.
for the
Yes.
national, one of the head judges for the National Contact Center Awards. How many years have you been judging for those now?
Oh gosh, so it's got to be a good 10 years plus. And it's been like head judge for possibly the last 4 or 5 years. So which has also been really nice. It is great, and I think I've probably appreciated it more this year as I've been out of work for a little bit, and you kind of lose touch with what it is that I love so much about the industry and about being inside a contact center. And I'm very spoiled because there are very few awards where you have to actually go in physically to engage and manage to wangle those on a regular basis. And I love those, absolutely love those, because I think one of the most important things is, you know yourself, Martin. You go into a contact center, you open the door, and you can. It's almost kind of tangible when you see, a great team working well. And these are always great teams because they're always fine. They're finalists that I get to go and see. It's always tangible, and it's really nice. It's always a kind of a good-natured, friendly, hopefully not as nerve-wracking experience for them as it could possibly be. And yeah, it's nice and always end up learning something, and then always remember, yeah, I remember now why I love this so much. So it's kind of nice. Maybe kind of jealous with some of them. I think, oh yeah, I'd like to work there. That'd be amazing.
That's a
They
good
got
sign, though.
yeah, great, absolutely. I mean, it's not one of the judging criteria. Don't get me wrong. But still, it is. Yeah, it's always nice.
You mentioned there, like, it's tangible. This is something that I recognize, but also other people I've spoken to that have done judging will often recount, which is that first. It's like a first impression when meeting someone. When you first step in, what is it then that kind of gives you that? Oh yeah, this is going to be good.
I think there's certain of that. Well, firstly, the intangible, which is there's quite a nice energy and there's a feel, but I think that really is compounded by the warmth of the welcome you get when you get in there, because one, you can tell it's authentic.
Mm.
And secondly, you know that these people are customer service professionals. You are being greeted in the same way that a customer is being dealt with, and that inspires confidence. It puts you at ease, and you feel that you're in a good place for a human transaction to be taking place, no matter what shape or form that takes. So I think that that helps a lot, and there's a genuine and very authentic synergy and relationship between all the different hierarchical layers
Mm.
that come and present. You don't feel, oh, hang on a second, the boss has just come in the room. He's another member of the
Everyone
team. He's got
bows.
a different, kind of slightly different perspective. Um, and that person, notably, doesn't have to say much.
Mm.
They just let their teams get on with it. And their teams normally are full of energy, they're full of confidence, they want to tell you about it because they're truly passionate about what they're doing. So it's that warmth, it's that passion about what they do. And it leaves me very confident that that's something which transcends to the customer experience as well. Okay, you can say that it's easily to pretend and make that. I don't think so. I think you can
No.
you can see through what is really authentic. So yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice. And that's quite like I did the Europeans as well. And went to Jackie sent me over to Athens, which was lovely. Did that with Lucy Child and Charles from Transport for Greater Manchester, and we had a great time. It was the same over there as well, having huge teams. And obviously, yeah, it's a bit of a language, not well, it wasn't a language barrier because their English is excellent. And again, it's
Well,
it's 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 the
that's
same.
still hard for you though, right?
Indeed, yeah, I know, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes not quite as eloquent as they were, I must admit, in my own language. But yeah, it's. I think it's a universal truth, really. Suffice to say.
And you've been on the other side of that equation.
Mm.
Um, in fact, I think I was one of the judges when one of the
Yes, yes,
that's
that's
just
right. You were.
that's just come to me, and some of your team just left a kind of such a positive mark on me and the rest of the room afterwards, as did you. But again, very similar to what you were saying just then. You set the scene and then let them
Mm.
tell the story, and it was brilliant. So you being on the other side and having worked on, created, and led award-winning teams, if you had to sort of talk to the component parts, the ingredients, if you like, of what that was, you've had some time to kind of reflect now.
Mm.
When you look back at those teams that you've led that have won awards, and that's not to say that that's the only measure, right? It's not just that they're award winning. You know when you've got a good team and you're doing well. What are the parts that make that up, do you think?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I think I put teams forward for awards kind of early doors and started, dipping our collective toes into those waters and weren't successful for the first couple of years. And I think, well, one, there was a little bit of, naivety, but then also it's, not having that complete story. And that story is very important. That kind of dramatic story, that you show that there's change there. And again, it's the word that's a little bit overused, but that authenticity, and the fact that it does have to come from the team. So the first couple of submissions that I put in, it was me sitting, keyboard warrior, and then trying to. And I remember one was I was like duty trip over in Madrid, sitting in a hotel all cramped up on the bed, going, oh, I need to get this in, I need to get this in. And we didn't get through. We got some good pointers, but thinking, okay, we need to kind of reset that. So I think the two where we were very successful as a team, the social media one and the Europeans, and then the one that you judged, Martin, which was the remote working back in the day. This is
Yeah.
pre-COVID days, had to have a bit of a story. And I think that has to come from the team, and chose very carefully the people that took in with me there. But I took them in virtually. I think I came in, I was, physically present for
Mm.
that. And I think Georgina and Victoria
Yeah.
were on an iPad that I just bought in. They were working from home. And basically, it was over to, I could set the scene. This is why we did it, blah blah blah, and then it's just over to them to say, why it works really well. So I think that kind of joined up the dots a little bit. And I think if you look at the judging criteria now, it is holistic. There's a company bit, there's a culture bit from a colleague perspective, the commercials and the customer, and all of those different aspects need to be in there. I think it needs to weave together with that story, and it needs to be authentic. It needs to be a clear beginning, middle, and an end. And I think the kind of the magic sauce is, and this is the difficult one to get, is the innovation. So
Mm.
because I think we're all moving in the same direction, doing variations on a theme, but that innovation for me, I think that's what sets the creme de la creme off from the people that are also very excellent, but maybe just didn't get there. Not to discourage them, because they are best in class as well. But then there's that next layer where there's that kind of added ingredient of the innovation in there. But the story has to come from the team.
And does that manifest itself, outside of going for awards? Is that a style that reflects your leadership style? Are you someone that very much lets the team get on with it? How has your sort of leadership style evolved, and what would you say it is?
Yes, it has. I think I learned a lot when I was chucked in. I think my first kind of big leadership, when there's no safety net before you, you're the big boss, for want of a better word, and you have to just get on with it. I think the first 6 months of me, that I thought, oh, I'm ready for this, were a big learning curve. And I thought, right now, I'm going to push forward the things that I want to do. I was engaging with the team, but not enough. I wasn't creating that story. I wasn't connecting the dots, and there was a disconnect. So I think as a team, we had to meet up, reset, and I think I had to communicate. Like, my job as a leader was to communicate that strategic vision, the story, and then to make sure that people were aware of what their roles were in that, and to empower them to get on with that. And just to put in the kind of cadences of the meetings and that flow of information, to make sure that I could do what I needed to do and filter it upwards effectively, to show that we were bearing fruits from that, and also communicate more widely across my organisation to ensure that everybody knew what we were doing. My key measures for that were the kind of uh, the colleague engagement surveys,
Mm,
which were pretty in depth, with a series of questions. And I think we started off, it was quite a low baseline, and really, I mean, it's not doesn't happen overnight. It does
yeah.
take a series of years, and you can see that there is this improvement and improvement and improvement. And it was very heartening to see. And you can see when skilled customer service professionals who are in a position for a long time, they know their stuff. They're just aching to get on with it. Tell me what you want to do. I'll add a little bit of flavour to it, and I'll come back and I'll tell you what we've achieved. And I think that for me is, I think that the fruits of those first 2, 3, 4, 5 years within that role really have molded me as, well, perhaps the leader I am today. So learn from mistakes, and realize the approach has to be a little bit different.
It's interesting because you said there that the communication, if I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, communication by itself of the strategy, the story, isn't enough unless you're doing the groundwork to build connections.
Exactly. So what I had to do was to spend a lot of time, and I invested a lot of time, coffee mornings, and also just going around, saying hi to people, and saying, like, "No, stop me and ask me questions." More than happy. But there's another issue there, because there is a layer of leadership underneath. We cannot ignore that. That is
Mm,
their role. They should be occupying that, and I didn't want them to feel disenfranchised. as well.
Hmm.
So we did a separate job as a leadership team to make sure that we were all going in the same direction. We're all leaders, we've all got collective responsibility, and to try to make sure that our teams viewed us collectively with more confidence, and we had a certain more of collective credibility. So a lot of engagement for me personally to start off with, laying the foundations, and then to be fair, everyone really played a great role. It was a great team effort. Very proud of it. I'm very proud of the team as well, because they um, difficult times, because it was transformation's never easy. There was certain elements of pride involved as well, because people within the kind of wider customer service, the global structure were getting involved. So it was quite delicate, but everyone really did understand what was needed, and played a great role.
Navigating through, around, and in with various stakeholders, and the nuance around that is often overlooked, I think, when people are talking to you about going, stepping up the leadership ladder, because that becomes more and more of a part of your role, don't you think?
Yes, it does. It's political
Mm.
in a nicer sense. Um, but it's, yeah, and I think naively, I went into that role thinking I understand that that needs to happen, but I'm going to be consistent with my approach. It doesn't really work like that. You have to play it a little bit differently. I don't think I've mastered it. I haven't mastered the dark arts. Yeah, but yeah, no, there's a lot of pre-preparation. I always remember a previous line manager of mine going into budget was saying, "Oh, it's not budget day that is the most important. It's the 3 months before." Because he's had all the conversations with people, he's prepared them, blah, blah, blah. And he was right. And I naively went into a couple of budgets thinking, no, 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 come on, I'll just prepare a really good budget. And you haven't had the conversations before, and you're absolutely slaughtered. So it is,
Other
about,
people have been running campaigns.
yes,
Yeah.
I know. And I naively sat behind an Excel spreadsheet doing my due diligence. But yeah, so it's nice. I quite enjoy that to a certain extent as well. And obviously, it sounds sleazy. It's not. And I use the word dark arts quite flippantly, but it's just another side of leadership, which I think is only becomes um, clear once you start ascending a couple of rungs on the ladder. So yeah, indeed, yeah.
Oh yeah, I would say dark arts is a good one, because having to be mentored into, okay, you're going to be, there's some big players here now, so whilst we all technically want the same thing,
Mhm. Yeah,
there is an element of what they want might be at odds with what you want. If we're, budget, you've mentioned, is a great area to where that comes to play.
yeah.
And like you, I was like, well, my numbers make sense. We're doing a great job. This investment, if I'm looking for investment, is sound, and here's the ROI. That often wasn't enough.
No, no, it's not. I think what I think further complicated it for me is that I had to navigate cultural differences,
Yeah.
working for a French Dutch company, dealing with French and Dutch people who were far more to the point and direct
Mm.
than I was. And I was, quite typically British and circuitous with my answers and being diplomatic and wanted to make sure it was balanced. And sometimes it was, hey, James, tell me what you think. Oh, okay. So yeah, that was another minefield to navigate. Thoroughly
I
enjoyable, he says in hindsight.
This is why we're both bald.
Yeah, no, exactly. Crikey, you wouldn't believe the lustrous head of hair I had 20 years ago.
We have to see proof.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, indeed. Not today.
But we're very similar. I was lucky enough to work in different cultures, Turkey for a long time, but also Spain and Germany. And I likened it to a lot of the other countries we were dealing with. They communicated using motorways, and we like to B road occasionally.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yes, that's a good one. Yeah,
We'd be skirting around all over the place. We just be like, no,
very
this
true.
this is it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another thing to navigate. But yeah, indeed, thoroughly enjoyable. Wouldn't have it
When
any other
you
way.
look at, I was gonna say the state of the market, not in a negative way, but just kind
Mm.
of where we are in terms of contact centers and CX, and just throw a question to you. Do you think, given what we read all the time, what's talked about at conferences and in our industry publications, that we are losing, or there's less focus on this kind of element of team building and effective teams and people? Or is it just that there's more of a focus on technology and AI?
Mm. I kind of think we've been here before, in a
Mm,
way. I mean, this is not wanting to play the old man card and say, "Oh, I've been there before and seen that and done that." But I think a lot is cyclical, and I think what we've got technologically speaking as well is potentially a game changer and solves a lot of problems. My concern at the moment would be the drivers behind it. So we're talking specifically about what AI can do
mm,
and the technology behind that. The driver is, and I've got a lot of heartening, good messages and examples through the judging of good uses of AI and teams embracing that, and ideas coming up from the team as well, and them taking control of that. Um, that's great. If again the customer is at the heart of these particular solutions. However, if you look at the wide and go back cyclically as well, employing people at the moment is extremely expensive.
mm,
Um, Economically, things haven't been good for a few years now with those kind of macroeconomic and geopolitical problems that the world has been dealing with. I kind of think of a similar situation going back to um, the financial crisis in 27, 28, 2008,
yeah.
2007, 2008. And of course, it wasn't AI then, there was a certain amount of automation, but it was about offshoring and releasing the costs. So my big caveats would be, yes, indeed, there's great benefits there. And of course, we're still offshoring and working in partnership with great BPOs around the globe. It works. However, there has to be the customer experience that is at the heart and should be driving those things. I think there are certain question marks over the financial viability of the AI as well. And again, it's the same with the offshoring as well. You see the the headline figures in terms of the comparison with the cost, and you think,
Mm,
well, gosh, well, why are we not doing that? And of course, that's going to drive particularly at the moment. So that's why I think we've got the perfect storm, and it might not be the right drivers pushing those through. But when push comes to shove, there are other costs as well that need to be taken into consideration. Um, there as well. I mean, obviously, AI costs are going, with the amount of traffic coming in, those are going to scale, the API connections, the tokens, etc., etc. We have to have the people in place in terms of the guardrails, the content, making sure that the information that's being fed in is correct. People looking over those, and it's going to notably change the skill sets of the people who are left. I think it's Forrester that's saying that by 2030 we're looking at 50% fewer frontline positions in customer service. The great thing about our industry is, and I think we're both products of this, we started on the phone.
yeah.
We were those people coming in, and it was an entry level position. Now, when we started, it was an entry level position. It was, sweatshops, it's a horrible place to be, blah, blah. That was the perception. The reality was still completely different, as we know. But I think we've done a lot since then to change that perception and welcome people into the industry. And they have, moved up the ranks and generated careers. I think there's a lot of people within the industries, the different organizations that are trying to promote that as well. My concern is that if we stifle the amount of roles at that entry point too much, where is that pipeline of talent coming in and filling the positions where we need it? Because those people that we need are going to be customer service professionals, excellent ability to solve complicated problems, and have interpersonal, great, emotionally intelligent interactions, because by the time something escalates, it really needs that. Plus, someone that's quite tech savvy to know what the problems are, what the solutions are, if it's something which isn't just isolated to one particular customer, but slightly a little bit more widespread. So these people do not grow on trees.
Mm,
As a leader in the contact center, with a lot of people in entry roles, getting people into the industry was always very difficult. So those challenges are going to be there, and we're going to have to pay those people more
mm,
because those skills do not grow on trees. So I'm hoping that the savings, in inverted commas, that are being harvested from the increased use of technology are being reinvested into our human capital to ensure that that develops, and that there is the system in there to ensure that we get that free flow, that through flow of talent right from the beginning through to the end, and without stifling it right at its beginning. That would be my concern. I've got no evidence about that at the moment, but just looking at what's happened in the past, mistakes that we've made as an industry, knowing that the zeitgeist is similar. We are chasing a slightly different silver bullet this time that is potentially more powerful, and the risk is that we chase down the quick wins, and in a few years' time, the customer is going to be saying, "Well, hang on a second, where's my customer service?" And I mentioned the word zeitgeist as well. I think as a society, we need more human interactions as well. I don't want to get
mm.
too down and dirty, but we are more polarized as a society, more isolated than we've ever been. Um, the the vulnerability, or I mean, not just vulnerable customers. I think we all need people to talk to, but vulnerable customers as well. That ability for us to do what is uniquely human is an incredibly valuable commodity. Brings a lot of value, but it comes with a cost. And maybe where we are currently is that the numbers don't quite add up with that cost. I understand that, but we just need to be careful of what we do in order to get it. I don't want to sound Luddite about it, because I do I do love AI and the technology. It's extremely exciting, but I think we need to get that balance there. Everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's saying the same thing in terms of we need that balance there. We need that balance there, but are we achieving it? Are the drivers there that are that people are paying lip service to? Question mark. However, just in terms of examples from the judging that I've done, I've seen some great examples. Some bottom up examples of teams going, we need AI here as well. That is going to help us as a team, and they're the ones that are doing it all.
Yeah.
It's coming from them, and you have a leadership team who acknowledge the fact that they don't fully grasp what AI is going to give, and empower their teams to lead them. Now,
Mm.
I know that's not going to work for everybody. I'm not that naive, but for me, that was a shining example. It was a welcome example for me of just how it can be done really well, because ultimately they're thinking of the customer. They're thinking of themselves as well, because they want an easier job, and that's fully understandable. But also that it's the customer outcomes that are paramount for them, and I think that's what the driver should be.
There's so many great points in that. I don't know where to start. I mean, I imagine then. So in that example of the kind of team-based innovation with a request to help use AI, was that around? Was that driven by? Well, actually, I'm spending a lot of time on tasks that I know can be done by AI, and actually, I'm as the customer-facing professional have far more capability than that, and this is a kind of waste of my talent. let's get AI to do this, and then I'm better placed to be present
Mm.
for the customer interactions where humans are needed.
That's right, exactly that. That particular example was about the knowledge um, that they have collectively available for the team and also for the customer. And creating that and creating um, an AI facility that would enable both colleague and customer to access that information in a way which didn't jar.
Mm,
Um, and the frontline teams have taken full ownership of that and delivered something themselves, which
that's brilliant.
again blew my mind.
Yeah,
Blew my
that's
mind.
brilliant. I'm completely with you on the society thing as well. I think we, through the use of whether it's social media or let's say digital mediums, we forget we're human in how we're interacting, and that polarization, I think, is really dangerous. So, absolutely with you on the need for human connection. It's really interesting as well what you say about these entry level jobs where you've got people, let's be honest, a lot of people like us who've also been there, but now have a real interest in helping others see the light and shaping their careers and giving them the opportunities to progress and developing them into these kind of professionals. Because when everyone talks now about what we will be left with after the Forrester, after those types of
Mm.
predictions, yeah, we're going to be left with smaller teams, but all they're going to be handling is urgent, complex, emotionally charged, vulnerable, sensitive, things where you're really going to need a very good human to be able to manage them. That isn't a great sounding job. And I wonder, the like you said, these people aren't just wandering around waiting for us to come and hire them. But I also think, like, how will we be advertising these roles? What will we be saying? Is it no longer an entry level job, and we're now saying you are a CX professional? But guess what? All you're going to be doing is everything that's escalated past our digital first line. Where are we going with this?
So I've seen some companies adapt really well and create some very good apprenticeship schemes
Mm,
where they take a financial hit up to ensure getting people in and making sure that they are trained to hit at the moment their kind of basic in inverted commas level of interaction is still there to fulfill, but then they can move on quite swiftly onto other things and escalate. So I think you're right what you say. It is a different level that is needed going in there, and it is up to organisations, to companies, to reinvest now and to restructure to ensure that they are future proofing their organisational setup. We've always struggled to get people into the industry, and the thing is that
mm,
it's slightly false at the moment because there are, and I know this, there's more people out there than jobs
mm,
currently,
mm,
but again, that is cyclical. That
mm,
changes. So it might not be a problem at the moment because you've got a lot of people that are qualified slash overqualified for roles which are being advertised, but it's not always going to be like that. So we have to be prepared and as an industry with the organisations which enable us to navigate both parts of the cycle. And it's frontline jobs in the contact centre are going to become more complicated. The conversations are going to become more difficult. That is not an appealing
yeah,
thing. It's not. We've always had those conversations, but it was on a
yeah,
lower proportion of them. That is not easy. So
mm,
how do we attract people into those roles at the wages, knowing that there are a lot of other, in inverted commas, easier roles that pay better elsewhere? So then maybe that pushes companies to think, well, in which case we have to do more more automation, more AI, and it becomes a vicious circle. And I think we don't want to be pulled into that kind of death cycle. It has to be a proactive um, push now for people to anticipate these issues that potentially are coming around the corner and make sure that we're more organizationally adaptable. As we have to make ourselves look attractive.
Oh, 100%. You said something early on, which I think is the key, which is this has to be customer led. This has to be for the benefit of customers' journeys, customer experience. Um, because I imagine, and maybe your experience judging, but I do wonder sometimes, are there people listening to this who are leaders in contact centers who are leading contact centers that are doing a really good job, getting some great results, but they are very similar to the contact centers we started in back in the day. And this, yeah, fine, they understand AI, they are interested in it. But if you looked at that contact center, it's still very much a higgledy-piggledy tech stack, with teams being innovative, but they're still doing a lot of things in Excel. They're still doing lots of manual work. Um, did you see examples of that in judging, or is it more so the people that are embracing and already using better tech, let's say?
I think we had a mixture. So we had those that were perhaps towards the end of their journey, and had gone very much on that journey, and those that perhaps more at the beginning, but had some big wins.
Mm,
And it was quite evident that they weren't there yet, but there was a realization that there was a need to change. I think at all levels, and I think it's tough because, and I've been there before with people. You use the example of people using Excel, particularly for resource planning.
mm,
That, oh, we're using Excel. A lot of people also like it that
yeah.
way as well,
because
and they
because
really
they
like
it's
this.
their baby. They've built it.
Yes, indeed, and it looks beautiful.
Mm,
But my God, did it take a lot of time? And again, that's that kind of journey. Try to bring in those people on the journey as well to say that they do need that change, because you're right. There's a lot of goodwill from those people, and they're doing a lot of extraordinary things to make up
mm,
for the lack of a coherent tech stack or processes behind the scenes. But there's a kind of organized. There's a good chaos there that gets results,
mm,
and that's quite hard, I think, to push people in the direction we think this needs to change. We're good, but we need to work smarter, not harder, and we're working very hard at the moment. But I think it's also quite frightening as well, because what can be done now, um, it doesn't look very appealing to people. And I
no.
think those that are more advanced on their journey, you can see that the teams have really engaged and they see the benefits of what that technology could give them as well as the customer. They know, if you can hang on a second, we've been running on this hamster wheel for a very long time and we really didn't need to. And this is going back to the previous point. If you say to them, right, okay, we'll build a better system, 9 times out of 10, they really will do. But it needs an understanding of technology. It needs a deep understanding of the customer, and great problem-solving skills. And back to previous point, those people don't grow on trees.
Mm,
You say, I'm
yeah.
very lucky. I see the creme de la creme, but I know I don't doubt it elsewhere. There's things where people are still on the hamster wheel, or there isn't that supply of great talent coming in, or various different problems. So I think people are very polarized as where they are on their journeys, or even a realization that a journey needs to take place.
And let's be honest, yeah, we both know this. That good chaos is addictive.
It is.
It's good
I,
fun. Every
it
day's
is.
busy.
I know. I always remember being in and working for an airline as well. There's always, it's kind of crisis mode because something has happened and it's pushed volumes through. Great credit to the teams. They were amazing. And then suddenly everything calmed down and people were like, huh? Huh? Is there fires to put out? Yeah, well, it's
Let's
business as
make
usual
one.
now, everyone. It's business as usual. So, and that was sometimes more complicated because people were coming in ready to fight fire. So it's like, okay, we need to take a breath, concentrate on our KPIs, concentrate on the customer. And I've always found that quite challenging to
Mm.
get to get that change of mindset, particularly if it lasts for a very long time, which sometimes it did. So yeah, different mindset.
I do wonder as well, just based on conversations I've had recently with contact center leaders, whether they're whether this direction of travel we're going in, the one of the benefits will be that with contact centers are no longer seen just as cost centers, right? They're more so they're customer hubs.
Mm.
Because I think a lot of the people that are stuck in that kind of Excel driven good chaos manual workaround, that it's necessity because they are seen as a cost center, so there's limited investment. So perhaps this kind of certainly the perception is that we've never had more, technology's never been more accessible, whether that's true or not, but we'll start to shift some organizations to go, well, actually, this our customer hub. What are we doing with them? And that we will look at them less so as a cost center because I think that's always held good people back.
Absolutely. I totally agree that kind of cost center versus a value center. And increasingly it's an engagement platform. It brings a hell of a lot of value, but sometimes it's not quite as measurable. It has become more measurable. Remember, I think a game changer for us going back in the years, and again, talking about the Air France KLM years, was when social media came in and we were able to chart kind of the transition from turning people into detractors into advocates, storyboard it, and
Mm,
then send it to the exec committee. I know that the person in charge of our social media team did that relentlessly, and that starts to change the conversation because then you see that actually, that person's, it's the lifetime value of that particular customer rather than the transactional nature that is the perception. And I think once you open eyes to that, and there are some metrics there, and you can see that through. I mean, NPS is increasingly there, and if you love it or hate it, that's a metric that we can hold up. But there's more to that, and sometimes the qualitative verbatim that comes back from people thinking, "Great, I'm a customer for life. This is excellent customer service." That enables a different kind of conversation to take place. It's just unfortunate, again, cyclically, economically, maybe that gets a little bit lost now because the ultimate, because of the financial pressures which are on companies, the increasing social costs of employing people, that kind of um, ensures that that conversation about value over cost gets lost a little bit
mm.
at this time.
So, how do you envisage then if you could even do this, like a standard operational team of the future? What would what do you think we're looking at there? More agile, um, working hand in hand with technology, but like, can you see that kind of Forrester view happening?
Um, So I think it depends on the size of the organization. I think that when customer service is more um, um, structurally in touch with other teams, whether that be technology, marketing, sales, etc., I think that enables a healthier development and better conversations around where customer service stands within that particular ecosystem. This is a seismic change
Mm,
now for the structure of teams. So going back to the previous point about ensuring, I think to start off with, that we protect our intake and that we have reviewed what our growth structure is, our developmental structure, based around the customer and the customer's needs, whether it's a segmented customer base or it's a one size fits all. What's the skill development needed in order to give the best customer experience, and then to develop our, to have our organization develop around that. And again, I think that is easier to do if you have a customer service department which is better represented throughout the rest of the business, that has the regular touch points with the tech team and not working in silos, because then you're not going to get the buy-in for those kind of organizational changes. This is a more significant change now than I think we've seen before in
Mm.
terms of organizational setup.
And I think, given that scenario, that or that view rather, which I agree with, um, human centric, but also innovative leaders, and have never been more important, because in
Mm,
that period of uncertainty, the teams will be looking to the leaders as the ones to help navigate them through what
mm,
is both exciting but also, I guess, unsettling as well for teams in situ, and bringing in new intakes. Um, so I couldn't think of a better leader than someone like you to be able to navigate what is, a like you say, it's a period in our industry of seismic change. But one thing I think we've always shown is we're good in periods like this. You know,
we are, yeah, and I think it's going to need leaders, courageous leaders who are willing to make you know mistakes through trying new things as well, and organizations which will allow that. Because at the moment, nobody knows.
no,
Nobody knows. No one has that answer.
no,
I mean, what we've been talking about today, it's theoretical.
yeah,
What all AI vendors are telling us is, this is, I mean, it's the best possible outcome for them, but there's so many permutations and so many variables within that, we just don't know. So our setups, as always, must be agile. They must be able to withstand any issue. I mean, tomorrow, I was very disappointed after having, kind of really, looked at um, automation and outsourcing before COVID. And then COVID comes knocking on the door. And I think that many organizations absolutely failed the customer because they didn't have that business continuity in plan for such a, for something else. Have we got that now?
mm,
I'm not just talking about the ability to handle the volume, but the ability to have a human interaction with our customers and to interact under very difficult circumstances. I think we should still have that in the background as well as leaders to ensure that as best we can we are future proof for that, because who'd have thought that what's happened over the past 5 or 6 years would have happened, but
exactly.
it did. So that ability to be agile, to ensure that there's operational continuity, or we can ensure that as much as we possibly can, thinking of the worst possible scenario, um, and the innovation and that willingness to have a shot at these things. And again, I come back to the awards, but again, we're talking about best in class. I've really been the ones that really stand out are the ones that say, you know what, we got this wrong along the way. However, what we learned from that, what is X, Y, and Z, and they're so much better. And they've got a leadership team. Okay, yes, for the awards presentation, they're looking pretty chilled out about it now, but probably I could imagine they were a little bit more excited at the time. But they were fine with that approach.
James, this has been fascinating. I can't believe it's gone so quick. And so, thank you very much for anyone listening out there who just wants a conversation with, as you've heard over this last sort of 45 minutes, a fantastic leader and human being.
Thank you.
Please do get in touch with James. Is LinkedIn the best for you?
LinkedIn's the best for me, or as we were discussing the other day, smoke signals. I get all my news from a man on the horse. Yeah, old
Telegram.
school. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on, James. Stop. It's
Yeah,
been awesome.
yeah.
Stop.
Please stop.
No, but mate, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you very much indeed, Martin. Always a pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Me too. Bye, everyone. Has he finished? Let's go.